Hi everyone, it's Jampot. Let's play some Galaxy. I really like Lil Genie. I think that this captain was part of how I developed my current approach to the game because I didn't realize that you could win on turn 8, to be honest. It was inconceivable to me. And then just realized that if you are really crushing, it's a possibility and it's actually not as unlikely as you might think. But this is kind of the far end of that equation, and this is when it goes too far for my tastes, where I think that in order to keep up, you kind of have to be making plays often that have no path forward. You have to cast okay spells all the time, and this ability's not scaling fast enough. Um, so if you get to turn 10, 11, and you haven't high rolled specific treasures and stuff to make it all click, it's totally possible that there's other ways to play this, but as far as just what I mean by you know where you're just trying to get Morgan Le Fay, Calypso, Rage Mage down, and just jam, jam, jam every efficient combat spell that not combat spell, sorry, buffing spell that you can. Rudolph doesn't belong here. That was a recent addition to kind of see if I could use that to go over the top by hitting the correct spells, but I don't think it works because we're not really setting up slot bonuses very well. So there's not really the difference between a all for one and a like single target spell is just not different enough by the time that Rudolph is live. So yeah, I don't think that makes sense. Um, this is actually where I fell in love with Mysterio, is because you just have all these huge buffs on stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to silver them because you have the right shop, spell and shop, like, or you can know that you have Mysterio and intentionally not silver your flying monkey that you picked up that's randomly a 30/40 or something like that. Um, and it's it can really make a difference. This is a pretty low cost to put it in your deck, and in this specific deck, it really works. I definitely am trying it out more than it makes sense. I love Serena. Um, so once again, I think that I'm trying to shift it off because I had this thing with a million epics, and it's just always too late, doesn't it doesn't keep up on board. So I think this was an attempt to kind of address that. Snapping Hydra, I thought was that unlike Genie of the Lamp, all these other things, it's not greedy. It needs time, but same as everything else. That's kind of the struggle, but it doesn't require resources. And our slot one is actually not super precious, so we could pop it in there and have it work. Um, Daedalus is there because um, you know, Serena double double, and then Moonshadow is there because of Daedalus and Boon Willow, and I don't know that that's right here because I think it's great in certain scenarios when your front line is so big that they can't do anything about it, but is that win more? It very possibly is, uh the reason why I don't necessarily think it isn't win more is that this deck does have a unusual amount of ways to present like truly, truly, truly enormous frontline units, but I'm not sure. And here I'm putting in Black Hole. I think that that is just been working a little bit more, and I should consider it a little bit more often. Dastardly Spirit might look weird, but you kind of need to be able to set up your engine stuff a little bit first without falling too far behind. And I think that most of the important engine cards, Morgan, Calypso, Rage Mage, are villains, and just having a little bit of extra stats on them goes a surprising way, because you can't afford to be losing hearts in the first couple turns of the game as you're doing that. Um, if you want to have any chance of being able to get your late game stuff going. So that's kind of the reasoning behind a couple alterations. Here, I think, we just need stats, and I think this is just a little easier to use, but Slappy's perfectly fine. Yeah. Laser Shark's a nice thing to throw, like, a double buffing spell on if there's nothing else going on. I like it more than anything else here. I think 3 attack is still enough. Yeah. This slot will almost certainly have a ranged character in throughout a lot of the game, and I really like just getting it started. Nice. I mean, just having 1 or 2 hunts on that Plunder Penny is a, you know, fantastic result. Super happy with it. Not enough that I'm going to invest in it, but like, I don't need to wet big teeth or anything here. I kind of want a Karma Chameleon. I think we can make something happen there. You know, later on we can put it wherever we've thrown our slot buffs. These two need to go really soon. Chill Sunshine's a way to get rid of them in a like reasonable way. Yeah. It's not the worst thing to have some stats on there. Don't need this Karma Chameleon to hunt. If it hunts, fine. If it doesn't, fine. So we don't have our engines going, and oh, I don't mind that. Yeah, we'd rather, like, you know, we would be okay buying it from a shop, but now the next time we see it in the shop, it's silver, right? But I love that we're on 3 hearts. I love that our board doesn't just, like, completely crumble to anything, but we really are missing a little bit of setup. I'm okay with Nameless One. I was actually, yeah, I mean, we're gonna double True Love's Kiss it, like, it's fine. What's it got? Okay. I don't believe that Ada's gonna hunt, but like, what are we gonna do? Like, put it back here? Go cannon, go! Yet again, not sure if I should replace this, but I think let's just accept that we're going to. Hard to know where we're going to put our buffs, but I'm going to put them here for now. And I think at some point, especially with this captain, we actually do kind of want to commit to where our buffs are going. Our first one was just for +4/+4, but I think especially if we hit another scaling thing, let's make sure that like if we hit a double-double, it's not just like not doing it. You know, let's make it so that if we hit a double-double, it's like stabilizing us for possibly multiple turns. Maybe it's premature to be thinking of something 3 turns away, but at least we have the, you know, I expect that we're gonna lose, but we have a little bit of help to work with. Six two is like, you know, like these, everything except Conan is miserable right now, but I guess what I would kind of prefer to do is take this like tier to sack a heart, hopefully, hopefully somewhere between a heart and a half and like half a heart, which, you know, we're not really just gonna lose half a heart, but it's well, you know, we'll hope. And try and figure out how that gets us forward from here. These are so weak. We really do have to get off of them soon, but not yet. I wonder if we could make use of Ironcast Dragon. Like, is a pile of random nonsense okay? Also, this Conan no longer hunts in 2 hits, which is a little bit of a bummer. Or not hunts, finishes its quest in 2 hits. Yikes, maybe this Angelica was bad then? So it's not like this thing's big, but I think, you know, these are more of a priority. Let's try it, but I'm not optimistic. Oh yeah, this Angelica is nothing. Yeah, that was a bad purchase. Cause yeah, now we just have something else where we'd rather put the stats and okay. Last time that I tried to like do the math for how this works, I didn't do it right, and I don't really want to figure it out right this second, but I do need to figure it out and just like declaratively say like, do I need to move this Genie of the Lamp to the biggest slot before getting it going? No idea. Let's put Conan here so that it at least like doesn't get sniped by a range quite so easily. Mhm. 1.5 hearts is like the amount that we were okay losing there. So Mysterious Map, I really don't want to hit another greedy, like, or not by resource intensive character. You know, we already have one that we need to, we have so many things we need to replace already, but there's a lot that we could hit that would smooth our things out. This would kind of, we don't really have that many legendary characters that we care about hitting, but it just gives bonus chops, so I'm gonna go for that. We'll find more access to random secret rares than we would like, I believe, with transforms and such. Um, Hunter's Horn only works with Shadowmancer as far as like the obvious units that I can think of, but I just don't know that we're in the market for either of these other two, so at least this works with something. So I could do it on Two-Headed Wizard, just get, yeah, that seems to make a ton of sense. Not heartbroken about missing out on Moonshot. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we find a way to get some slot bonuses, like some slot bonus spells, so that we can, you know, like buff our Genie of the Lamp and then put our Ghost Armor there. A little awkward right now. Okay, so what's going on here? We have a heart and a half left to work with, and I expect that's probably just going to be one heart. So I think we just have to hit like the right spells real soon. We don't really have much of another line. Yeah. There's a Shadowmancer with no stats. I should have considered moving Genie of the Lamp back here so that the Ghost Armor buff would go on it, because that's another way we could get out of this a little bit more easily. Yeah, we don't need silver. Yeah, this is rough. I know we spewed a, like, Two-Headed Wizard charge there, but we just need anything that we can come up with. What am I hoping? Like, no. I might just put this. Like, who cares about +5 attack? That seems way better. Oh no, we need this on the thing that actually has buffs. Alright. Incredible. Goldilocks could be part of it. Okay. Oh. Forgot to move this Goldilocks, that was bad. Not that the Daedalus buff is huge or anything, but like, it matters. Given that this is just ×4 is why I'm putting it here. 70, yeah. Sloppy, sloppy. So, you know, like we don't really have enough of a slot buff for this to make a difference, but if we had like a goodie bag or something, I don't know, there's a lot that we could have that would make us like really fear for this Daedalus' safety, but with our current configuration, it's not too big of a deal. Let's do this. No, that's not a meaningful number of stats, and having this survive just one more attack could really matter. Nice, love to see it. I just don't think this is meaningful enough. Let's just... There we go. Huh. Can't crystal, which is really unfortunate. We haven't been like in a position where we could greed for treasures, but we... You know, if we just... I think we may have been offered a Miseria on turn 3 or 4. I really can't remember. No, I feel like we would have taken it. Which of these do we want golden the most? Almost certainly Goldilocks. Just means that if there's so much that we can hit from there that... Oh, okay, well, this is the one we want golden the most, but like... Nice the timing of that too. Okay. 3k is far from big enough to feel safe here, but it's also like... Yeah, big enough that I'm not like sure that I'm dead the way that I was before. Honestly, feeling pretty optimistic so far. Really a huge bummer if we miss out on a targeted spell in these shops and then like die because this isn't big enough. But I think I would like I like having this Shadowmancer and I would rather hit a better spell. I don't think we have to Stroke of Midnight, but maybe that's insane. Like, am I really going for like a 1 in whatever chance to hit a like mediocre treasure or like half of... Yeah. But you only get to do that so many... At this point, I'm just gonna do this. We need to make sure that this is working. Okay, this time let's do it correctly. We don't need to keep, you know, doing this. I think this so clearly outclasses what everyone was working for. It's not impossible that they spiked even bigger in one turn, but I think our best chances of winning involve doing better than this. This should be enough for where we are. I don't think I see anything we care to True Love's Kiss. I'm not gonna Abracadabra hoping for a double. It's not even big enough. I think that a lot of what I'm playing right now kind of makes sense in accordance with like how I think about, you know, relative strength, where it's not about being the biggest bully in somebody else's lobby. Yeah. Mercy, huh? I mean, this thing hasn't hunted maybe once? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, maybe we'll get to a point where we can grab it. But our board's like full. Okay, their numbers are getting bigger, as, you know, of course they will. I should move... I don't know. I don't know where to put that Goldilocks, to be honest. Like, it's just kind of the double-double waiting room. Firetuck's probably still better than the Shadowmancer because it still can't, like, hasn't been hunting. I'm scared. Not for any good reason, but it just doesn't seem like what anyone else is doing, like, competes with this, but, like, I don't want to get Stroke of Midnighted and just lose either, right? Like, um, this is so unnecessary. It just can't be, like, it can't be meaningful. I feel like it's, like, arguably better to just do this here, but I don't want to. You can't convince me to, like, add +8, +6 instead of adding this many thousands, but it's just wrong to do. Like, I'm not gonna... It's like this Daedalus doesn't even do anything right now. Like, should I go off of Daedalus, try and find a treasure, open up a slot in case, like, Crystal comes back? Let's just keep looking for it, right? Like, this is fine right now, but, like, we didn't need to cast a bunch of those spells, and, like, what do we do the second that they hit anything that, like, scams us, right? Like, we're in trouble then. Should have done it a while ago, to be honest, but we didn't. I mean, Alchemist, you said, doesn't do anything from here. I'm genuinely looking at this and being like, first of all, don't know how this works. Pretty sure it doesn't proc it because it's 2 casts and it should transform. Like, it would, if this was on 1, I think it would go off. Basically, we don't need this to be bigger. Like, there's just no reason for it to be. Like, is there a legendary we hit that, like, changes this meaningfully? I know it looks weird. Yeah, I don't know. Just frontlining this so that, you know, it eats as much as possible. Yeah, okay, all this works. You know, so in general, I think that, like, I would like for live lobbies to be more of a present thing. You know, I hope that as this game grows, and I hope that this game does grow, obviously, um, that is a more frequent option. You know, hopefully, I would like to just be able to queue up. But I think usually async is pretty dynamic. There's a lot you can do, and I think a lot of the skills are actually quite transferable if you want them to be. Um, but I don't feel good about wins like that one so much, even though, like, not because we, like, didn't hit for forever, but because, like, we didn't hit for forever, and that means that, like, if we hadn't been against that kind of situation, we could have, you know, like, any opponent with a who could react to what we were doing would have clowned us. Like, no, or not saying necessarily no problem. You know, scam's inconsistent, but I wonder what we could have done to, like, generate another meaningful threat, because we were a 1-threat team, and that's not a great position to be in. I do think that we really tried, though, so that's worth something. And, you know, we got there with, like, conventional Serena stuff a little bit more, a little bit less, you know, just kind of things that make sense. But Crystal didn't work, didn't have enough treasure generation for it. Plunder Penny did enough. Yeah, I mean, I think everything that we saw that we had put in our deck made continue to make sense except for Crystal. If you can't buy this and use it, so that's the only thing to keep an eye on. But this is such a messed up treasure over like a grindy game that I I think the payoff is real. I think the question should be more how do I make Crystal work rather than like like just instantly booting it from the deck. Fun run. Little weird, but worked out. Oops. Bye for bye for now, everyone.